studies and surveys that are looking at the experience of houselessness uh, tend to be underestimates.
What Ruben is referring to is that statistics only capture a small fraction of the reality that UC students are actually facing. Since students who are experiencing distressing forms of basic needs challenges don't have the time or maybe even the access to participate in these system wide surveys. As mentioned before, housing insecurity directly overlaps with food insecurity. As shown in the UC-UAS report, 24% of UCSD students experienced food insecurity in the 2020 to 2022 timeframe. This disproportionately impacts students of color, as African American, American Indian, and Hispanic students hold the highest percentages of food insecurity out of those surveyed.
So the fact that folks are having to every single year, every single generation, figure out creative ways of making sure that they can live and continue to go to school and finish these degrees should not surprise us. It should only be awe-inspiring of how resilient and innovative and creative and powerful our communities are. Know that the college student experience of this generation is filled with challenges that are outside of the classroom, that are driven by the fact that our government and economic system is not providing the resources for students to have their basic needs met.
What was also mentioned in my interview with Ruben that is important to know is that students who are struggling with their basic needs insecurities are not at fault at all. When 8 to 12% of a 280,000 population of one of the most prestigious institutional systems in the world are facing housing difficulties, financial and food insecurities, it's no longer a personal issue. It's a systemic issue.
This is by design. This is not an accident. This is going to continue happening until the United States of America and the state of California recommit to ensuring that going to a public higher education is an absolute essential right and necessity.
The idea that we shouldn't be complicit about this and we should always be reminding ourselves this is not normal, because it really isn't. It shouldn't be normal to begin with.
Which is really important to acknowledge, as we tend to blame ourselves for not doing enough when times are rough, when a lot of the issues that we face as college students come at us from a systemic punch by design. Moreover, the normalization of the quote-unquote struggling college student is not something that we should learn to be complicit with. And these issues which students face can cause extreme impacts on one's mental health or overall well-being. Joshua Garzin explains his experience.
Mentally, it took a bigger toll because not only was I worried about my academics, but not only was I worried about where am I going to be fine for the next day, but it then turned into something like, oh, how am I going to be months on end? So it would make me worry way too much about the future when I had issues in the present to kind of take care of.